Again, when you look at number symbolism, it's the lost universal language. We quantify ourselves in numbers, but there is more to numbers than quantity. Numbers by themselves, you could say, are conscious beings. They exist in their own right, and they have an effect on us. And the six-petal star, flower, I would call it, the six-petal flower, is basically called the seed of life. It is the first primal emergence of life from that one bindu. And then it keeps going on and on and on, and worlds are created.
In the middle is well, for me, it's the start of David. It's a place where I live in Israel, and it represents me. And in the middle is the Shakti. And my word for this year is manifestation.
When I connected with the vision, I saw a lot of soft pink light kind of all over the world. The soft pink light of our psychic kind of opening to hold more love.
So we have a real treat for us now. These late morning sessions, post-morning tea sessions, are ideally meant to be more workshop, more experiential. So with this, we have Vivechna Saraf. She's an artist, a designer, and publisher who has dedicated over 15 years to exploring the intricate world of mandalas, sacred geometry, and symbols. With a keen interest in the archetypal meanings inherent in symbols from various cultures, Vivechna shares her findings through her art workshops, which she conducts through her company, Soulscapes. So we have the incredible honor to be able to be guided by her into the drawing of Sri Aurobindo's symbol. And when we draw symbols and mandalas, as she will explain, these are not just a moment of drawing something, these are yogic activities. These are ways to enter into the consciousness of that which we are drawing. So with that, welcome, Vivechna.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I think I would just describe myself as a very curious person. And my curiosity takes me into different steps. And honestly, it's an honor to even be able to present something on Sri Aurobindo, and especially his symbol. Dr. Belu has taken us through a journey, and she has explained to us a lot of the symbolism behind it. My route might be slightly different, but I will take you to the same place. And eventually, we experience the symbol within us, because that is where it really touches us. There are many ways to approach symbolism. It's part of the work that I do. I look at symbols across, and then I connect dots. So I hope that I'm able to connect the dots that Belu laid out in the morning, and that we can go deeper into ourselves as to what it means for us also to be able to take the wisdom out of what Sri Aurobindo represents. So it's going to be an experiential session, but I will give you a background of my work and where the symbolism runs deep, and why do we actually create symbols? What is the need for symbols in our life when we have our gurus' photos in front of us, we have in their atmosphere? Why do we need the symbol? And I think we take a little exploration into that. So we are talking about the Sashtatara, six-pointed star. And again, we've been through a journey of the 5 days where we've gone through a lot of concepts from the one, the Apara Shakti, the Adi Shakti, the Mahashakti, and then we've come down to the planes of Para and Apara, and we've gone to the Gunas and the 4 stages of life and the Pancha Mahabhutas. And now we come to a point, which Belu very rightly put, and also Mother says, is the point of creation. You know, we have all of these things that we've understood within ourselves, and then where does that lead us? What do we do with all of this? And I hope that in this session we are able to explore that a little as to how creation comes into being in the universe and within ourselves. Most of my work is based on these lines from Sri Aurobindo. Again, it comes from the epic poem Savitri. And he says this world was not built with random bricks of chance. A blind God is not destiny's architect. A conscious power has drawn the plan of life. There is a meaning in each curve and line. And we also see in our lives that everywhere that we are here today, there is a meaning to it. Why would this group be here on this day at this moment? It's not a random chance. It's because we are meant together for a particular purpose to be here in our lives for the universal purpose and probably for the transcendent purpose. And which is why we are here. But I also take the meaning a little literally, literally. So there is meaning in each curve and line, and which is what I explore in the world of form. So when we look at our mental, emotional, psychic states, we know that we have patterns. We have patterns that we repeat. The psychic probably has no patterns because it goes beyond. But when we live a regular life, we see we live in cycles and patterns. We understand the mental and emotional patterns, but do we see that the earth is such a conscious place that the Supreme has even put patterns and cycles in every little thing that has been created? And that is what we explore. So my work is about sacred geometry, and sacred geometry was done in ancient times. It was not an art or a science, it was a spiritual practice. It was said that only certain doors would be opened for certain people who could partake into these practices. We live in different times now, and I think we have evolved enough for all practices to be open to everybody, depending on how they can take them, access them, and apply them. Now, basically, it's an ancient science which explains how energy patterns create. So we know that we are made of energy. We know that the original sound, the sound of the Brahman, created these patterns which eventually became form. And how did that form organize itself? What did it do? What were the first patterns to come out? It was, again, Sri Aurobindo explains it in Savatthi, the different parts as to how it was, marshaled down from the Supreme downwards. And he explains the world of form also very, very beautifully. Again, what does it do? Because we are talking about oneness. Shraddhalu mentioned this yesterday. He said we talk about oneness. Why do we talk about numbers? Because eventually everything is one. But we live in a manifestation, we live in a world, and we have come down into duality, and we have come down into the rest of it. So it's important for us to also understand our way back. And I think sometimes the numbers actually take us on the journey, which we've been doing, starting from the 1 and then going down to the 9, and then maybe taking the journey back once we have the understanding of it. Sacred geometry, again, begins from that oneness. It tells us that the connection and harmony and union from the one has percolated down, but it's not lost. It's still there in these planes and worlds of being. It talks of an original harmony, and harmony is the basis for everything. So Mother had once said, I think all problems of existence are problems of harmony, basically. So everything that we experience is basically, once it's harmonized, it will all fall into place. So these are the basic tenets, I would say, that we explore when we do sacred geometry. Again, when you look at number symbolism, it's the lost universal language. We quantify ourselves in numbers, but there is more to numbers than quantity. Numbers by themselves, you could say, are conscious beings. They exist in their own right, and they have an effect on us. And whether it's your date of birth, again, it could be a mental concept that you're saying, but it is actually more than that. We see them working. We see number series. If you explore numerology, you would, Belu helped us go into that quite a bit. And there is a connection that we have with numbers. And they also explain the principles, life, everything to us. So before I go into Sri Aurobindo's symbol, I want to also see, I was curious about the origin of these triangles. Where did they come from? Why do we have these shapes? And what is the first primal origin of shapes? We also know that shapes are the most basic shapes will be your circle, square, and triangle. That is the first manifestation. When you talk about the bindu that manifested itself, it did it in a very simple way. The world of complex forms comes later. There is this form which some of you may be familiar with. It's called the seed of life and the flower of life. Now, this is supposed to be the original primal pattern. Belu had talked about how the one manifests itself as the other, and then it put out its 4 manifestations. Now, if you were to do this as a visual symbol, you have this thing, a circle, basically the bindu, decides to look at itself, and it looks around itself and creates this sphere around itself. Now, when the Supreme decides to objectify itself, it creates a replica of itself from the same center, and it becomes the 2. Now, when you look at the 2, which is this, which are 2 circles with the 2 centers mingling, you also have an almond shape formed in the middle, which is called the Vesica Piscis. In Christianity, it's called the womb of the universe. It's from where Christ emerged. So basically, when the 1 becomes 2, the universe comes into existence. Again, when the two come, the multiplicity has to come. So the two, again, the circle keeps turning around till we have this form of a six-petaled star. And this six-petaled star, flower I would call it, the six-petaled flower, is basically called the seed of life. It is the first primal emergence of life from that one bindu. And then it keeps going on and on and on, and worlds are created. We see this in mathematics. We see a similar formation happening in astronomy when the Big Bang happens and stars come out and galaxies are created. We see the same thing in biology when a cell breaks itself into two and creates this cluster. The beauty of this is when you make this six-pointed petal with these seven circles really, you get the beautiful, perfect hexagram. You don't need to do any measurements. It is inherent in it, which is what tells us that everything is inherent within itself. It just is, and there it is. And when you go further into it, we get into the fruit of life, the egg of life, and the Metatron's cube, and many, many, many concepts, which today we will not go into. So this becomes the base and the blueprint of the universe. The other thing that we see is as this flower of life grows, it turns into this beautiful 13-circled diagram. Now, you're using the same circumference. You're not changing anything. This is the same circle replicating itself again and again and again. It's very simple to do. It's a child's play. It's also fun because it kind of, is a very rhythmic process that you do. There is a symbol called the Merkaba in Judaism. And Merkaba literally means light, spirit, and body. It's the amalgamation of light and spirit and body. It's usually shown as three-dimensional triangles and merging into one another. And meditating on it, you have a lot of Merkaba meditations, and they give you this body of light. Now, this is one of the oldest kind of symbolism that has come. We still have, I think, Janvalo Melchizedek used to do a lot of Merkaba meditations of getting it into your heart and then experiencing it and then covering yourself into the sheath of light. It's a beautiful and deep practice and very, very ancient. The next thing is we look at six mathematically. Now I'm coming back to numbers because we know when we create those six petals, when we create those two triangles, what we get is a six-pointed star. When you look at the number 6 also mathematically, you look at that if you look at the series from 1 to 9, you see that the 6 is the only one which is divisible by 1, 2, and 3, and they also add up to be 6. And it's also, if you multiply 2 by 3, you get 6. So whether you add or multiply, you still get the product 6 by the first 3 numbers of the number system, which also makes it the perfect number. So each of the number has its characteristics. And for 6, the characteristics is perfection. It creates structure, it creates order. We have the series of triangular numbers, which is again a mathematical concept, that you take one number as a circle, and you keep adding the next number as that many number of circles. And then you get this triangular series of numbers. And 6 is one of them. So you have 1, 3, 6, and 10. As you keep adding 2, 3, and 4 at the bottom row, you keep getting this triangular series of numbers. The Pythagorean triangle we all know about. We might have studied it in school. The 3, 4, and 5 triangle. It gives you an area of 6. Again, there is a lot of more symbolism. Belu took us a little through this, that about how in ancient times, when you talk about sacred geometry, you're talking about how people were accessing nature and the rhythms of nature, and they were using them for worship. And which is why the first forms that you see in any ancient site will be always very, very rudimentary, probably, very, very basic. These are some of the symbols that you see across the world, in Armenia and the Solomon seal that we talked about earlier, in Jerusalem. But we also look at these symbols of alchemy, that is magic, that is transmutation of metal into gold, or transmutation of anything from one form to the other. And we see the 4 elements that are used in alchemy, that is water, earth, air, and fire, are actually created out of the 6-pointed star. Parts of the star are taken from it, the 2 downward and the 2 upward. Air and fire are upward, and water and earth are downward. which is again, the masculine and the feminine aspects of them. We also have the yantras. Yantras is a study that I do a lot. I have gone deeply into it. It's part of the tantras. And when you look at the yantras, most yantras you will find an upward and downward facing triangle. Again, this upward and downward facing triangle is the Shiva and the Shakti, Purusha, Prakriti, masculine, feminine, all of those energies which are coming down to earth and what is ascending, the Purusha. In India, again, when you go to temples, of course, Belu showed you some of this, you see it on various walls of temples. But also, interestingly, you're in Tamil Nadu right now, in Pondicherry, you will see that people make these drawings in front of their houses, the rangolis, the columns. A lot of the column symbolism has been lost, but a lot of it contains these 6-pointed stars which are made on certain days, celebrating certain goddesses for certain rituals. And there are beautiful patterns created out of them, just using chalk powder or white powder and stone. And you see them all over. And they become, these become like an archetypal stamp on us. We don't know. They are encoded in our genes. They come out in various forms, whether we understand the meaning or we don't. Coming closer home, we are carbon-based life forms. It is said that 12% of our body is carbon, which is about 14 kgs of our weight is made of carbon. The carbon pattern is a six-sided hexagon, which houses, of course, the hexagram in it. And the latest discovery, I think, well, quite soon, actually, in 2004, is what they found, that if they take one atom of a pencil lead, they have this material called graphene. And graphene is stronger than steel, 200 times stronger than steel. It's being used in biotechnology, it's being used in aviation, it's being used in all kinds of things, and it's become the new super material. Now, honestly, if you look at it, graphene just actually mimics our skin. It becomes the skin of things, and our skin itself is made out of the same pattern. So we understand how these patterns also come into our real life, how they come into our real world, how they are actually, everything that we create is actually out of us itself. Now, this need for symbolism, and I think this is something that interesting that I found from Sri Aurobindo. It's from the Synthesis of Yoga. And because I also wondered, why do we need symbols? Why do we need to interact with these symbols? They're beautiful and they have meaning, but what is the role of them in our lives? And he talks about it. He says that, in any cult, the symbol is not only a moving and enriching aesthetic element, but a physical means by which a human begins to make outwardly definite the emotion and aspiration of his heart, to confirm and to dynamize it. And I think the dynamic quality of symbols is very, very potent. Again, he talks about it and he says, without a spiritual aspiration, worship is meaningless and vain. Yet the aspiration also without the act and form is a disembodied and for life an incompletely effective power. Few can dispense with the support of outward symbols. And even a certain divine element in human nature demands them always for the completeness of its spiritual satisfaction. Always the symbol is legitimate insofar as it is true, sincere, beautiful, and delightful. And one may even say that a spiritual consciousness without an aesthetic or emotional content is not entirely, or not at any rate, integrally spiritual. And so we also, I think somewhere gives a clue also why beauty is such an important part of yoga, why the outward world is what we are trying to convert. We are not running away from it. We are using it for bringing the divine life here. In this same para, he also cautions, which I have not included because it would be too much to read. He says, any symbol that you interact with is meaningless unless you have it within you. So if we just keep something as superstition, it is not effective. We need to enter into the meaning of the symbol, which is why he said that you have to be careful when you use them. Because if you use them just for the it, they will not have an effect. Again, we have seen that the descending triangle is Satchitanand, ascending triangle is the aspiring answer from matter, under the form of life, light, and love, and the central square is perfect manifestation. Again, the square, if you see, is associated with earth, and it is in earth that we want the manifestation. We are not talking of a manifestation beyond earth. The use of the square in this symbol has many levels of its meaning because earth is the solid ground on which we stand and which is where we need this. And again, we have the lotus in the center. The water is there inside the square for the multiplicity, for the diversity that creation needs. Okay, so this was something interesting that somebody pointed out, that when you look at this symbol and we are talking about numbers, and Belu had mentioned the 3, 6, 9 of the petals, but if you look at the entire symbol, the number series is very much intrinsic to the symbol, and this was very consciously done by the mother. When even the first symbol was designed, it went through many changes from the 30s to the 60s, but this center part remained constant, and she was very clear about it. So there's one square, there are 2 triangles. If you see the lotus pad down are 3. There are 4 petals in the back row, there are 5 petals in the middle row, and there are 6 petals in the front row. And there are 7 lines of water. Again, I think she was taking the entire creation within this symbol, which is why, again, the number symbology was intrinsic to it. Now, we looked at the hexagram and we've looked at Sri Aurobindo's symbol, and you notice that Sri Aurobindo's symbol carries a square in it, which is not possible in a regular hexagram. A regular hexagram has 6 equal triangles on the outside with a perfect hexagon in the center. You cannot inscribe a square in it which touches any of its points within it. There were many experiments done during the early 30s when mother was there, and they had some also printed in some of the earlier volumes where, you know, the square was kind of just put into the hexagram, where the hexagram was pulled up and the triangles were not equal. But eventually, in 62, there was another version of this symbol where they put in the petals and the water, and it still had this uneven hexagram. But in 64, mother kind of gave the idea for the final design. She used, of course, what she had designed with Theon in the Cosmic Review, but she said, no, it doesn't have to be this way. And the triangles were pulled out, so they no longer were equilateral triangles. It became an isosceles triangle, which means one side is longer than the other 2. The angles also change. In a regular hexagram, you have the triangles at 60 degrees each. Here, the angle of the triangles was changed, and it was very interesting because what she did, it was again very conscious and it changed actually the entire energy of the symbol, I would say. Now, when you look at Sri Aurobindo's symbol, again, I'm going to go back to Tantra and the Yantras. In the Yantras, you know, Yantras are made out of primal forms. They are made of circles, squares, triangles. They are meant as a vehicle to get the deity down. That is the whole Tantra process, to get the Shakti into the earth, into the world. The human body is used as a vehicle to energize the Yantra that you create. Now, in Yantra symbolism, of course, we have the squares, circles, triangles. But in Yantra symbolism, whenever there is a hexagon, which is like an equilateral triangle of upward and downward, it's a balanced energy. It is the balancing of nature. The minute you change the triangle to an isosceles triangle, it becomes dynamic. It's no longer just about an equilibrium, it is about a dynamic force acting. By changing the shape of these triangles, mother actually gave us the clue that this is a dynamic yoga. It's not a yoga of equilibrium. The equilibrium will come, but it's through a dynamic action. Again, the angles of the triangle were changed to 52 degrees. 52 degrees is again part of the Fibonacci sequence. It's again the same angle that the Great Pyramid in Egypt is actually constructed on, the same 52 degrees. It's also the divine number in nature. If any of you have studied or know about the Fibonacci sequence, you will know it's called the golden number, the phi, the 1.618, which is the golden ratio. It's present in plants, in our body, in Da Vinci's paintings. He was very conscious of this. Everywhere you see this golden number, and it is part of the symbol after 64. This is what Sri Aurobindo wrote in The Mother. These are the first, I think, opening lines, and which explain the symbol beautifully. I won't go too much into the symbol because you've already heard about it in the morning. So there are 2 powers that alone can effect, in their conjunction, the great and difficult thing, which is the aim of our endeavor, a fixed and unfailing aspiration that calls from below, and a supreme grace from above that answers. And this aspiration and grace covers the whole yoga. I wish it was as simple as that, but we know we have to go through our processes and much as we talk about aspiration, rejection, surrender, we know how difficult it is to actually put it into action because there are so many parts of us which want to go their own way. And getting them together and to do the work is actually our entire life aspiration. Again, they are connected, of course, to the planes of Satchit Ananda, which is what the grace brings down. And we can't say we are devoid of them because that is where we come from. So much as we know we can't reach them, but we know that they are there for us. Again, you have light, life, and love at the three ends of the aspiration that goes up for purification, for calling that pure quality from the Satchidanand into these. So we are talking about the new creation here. Again, we went through the series of the seed of life. We saw that the whole creation process starts with it. And Mother, of course, knew everything, so she didn't have to really access any of this knowledge. She had it in her. When we go back, we realize where she was coming from, really speaking. And we know that this is the number of creation. But initially, she had mentioned creation. Afterwards, there was a revision, and she said, no, not creation, it's new creation. And this is what we are here for, actually. This is, Auroville is for, the ashram is for us individuals, whether we come here for the ashram or Auroville or not. It doesn't matter. We are here for that. We want a new world, right? We have some kind of aspiration within us on how the world should be like. What is it that we want from our lives? What is it that we want from this earth? And how we actually envision it within ourselves. And if we focus on that, if we focus on what we want to create, then the rest stops to matter. Because then that becomes the only thing in our life. And intention, energy follows intention, right? So intention is the thing that is needed. My work is very intention-based. So I'm going to put into an intention of a new creation today, and I hope all of us can partake into that new creation in whatever way we see it. And it will be interesting for us to share that and do that. What Mother said, she said we are endeavoring to establish upon earth union, knowledge, consciousness, truth, and we fight whatever opposes the advent of this new creation of light, peace, truth, and love. And when the focus is on light, peace, truth, and love, I think all the other forces stay away from you. Or at least when it's strong, they can't touch you. So I think today, through the exercise that we do, we will focus on these in ourselves, in our lives, and also keeping Sri Aurobindo's symbol within our hearts. So there was a prayer given by Sri Aurobindo, and a sadhak had asked him that give me a prayer which has both your names in it. And it's a very beautiful and simple prayer, and also connects very beautifully to the symbol. It's there in his writing, and I'm transcribing it. Om Sri Aurobindo Mira, open my mind, my heart, my life, to your light, your love, your power. In all things may I see the divine. And I think if we can probably maybe say it together, would you like to do that? And we kind of take it in within ourselves. So can we all say it together? Om Sri Aurobindo Mira. Open my mind, my heart, my life, to your light, your love, your power. In all things, may I see the divine. And maybe we can take a minute to just contemplate on this. So what I would like you to do now is you have sheets of paper in front of you. I'm just going to take you through I'm going to just ask you two questions. I would give you a few minutes to just think about them and write what comes to you. One is the question is, what is this new creation? What is the new creation that I envisage? It could be in any part of your life. It could be in a situation. It could be in work that you do. It could be on a universal aspect, on a transcendent aspect, or a very, very personal aspect. What is it that I want in my life? What is it that is my aspiration for this new creation? If we can just think about it. As children, we used to have so many dreams. We thought, at least I did, I daydreamed all the time, and I saw so many things in my dreams which were so beautiful. Most of them which have come true, really. So I think in a childlike way, if we dream, if we think of how we see the world and not what the world is right now, what is the world that we want? And what is it that we see? What is it, the most impossible thing that we want to create in our life? Why is it not possible? We live in a world of infinite possibilities. The fact that we are here at this moment, at this point, is again, I think, testimony to that. So let's just think about what do we see the new creation as? What does it mean to us? And the second question I would ask is, what is my part in this new creation? Where do I see myself in this, what I'm creating? I don't know, it could be planting a flower garden, but am I tending to it? Where am I in it? It could be, I don't know, creating a massive project, but who am I in that? Or who is it for? Or why is it? So can we just do that for a few minutes? And I'll take you through the next.
So I think I'm really inspired by the talk around how we struggle between the matter and spirit, and how in our own ways we can take baby steps to combine that matter and spirit, move towards that. So you would see a matter and spirit there on the top and at the bottom, and and the mandala, you'll see various colors. I think yellow is the color of the sun and really a glowing color, which is why the complete center of the star is yellow. And I have some words in those concentric circles. These are words that I want, like as I newly create myself, I would like some of these to really live and be close to some of these words, which is purpose, abundance, flow, peace, freedom, love, and balance. So you'll see those words in the concentric circles. And I think rest is just, I went with the flow of things. And the rays that you see is basically, you don't see that word energy anywhere, but the rays, the yellow and orange rays is really, everything is energy, and things are all circling around that. So that's the creation. Thank you.
Thank you for that exercise. Might be hard to see, but in the middle here is an Angophora tree, an Angophora costata, which is native to where I live. And I love it. I love her. And I put her in the center, and I see a lot of people walking past her without noticing her. And she's so beautiful, and she's a goddess. And below there I've got a worm, which we don't often think about, but they're very important for our soil health. I've got a butterfly, and I've got a dog who I think embodies love, unconditional love. And I've got here really, truth exists in the nature. I don't know if we have to be any smarter than that, really. Just truth exists in the nature. Thank you.
This is my hybrid. It's a new creation, but I bring in things from yesterday because over the last 12 years, I've been creating what I call a new paradigm for human progress. It's called Happitalism. It's not capital, it's hapital. So it's basically a new system based on happiness at the core. And basically what I did was to combine the lotus with BE. That's part of the logo that we use, is Be Creation. And that expands, and basically the way I feel is that all this retreat is really giving a validation to this new paradigm, because actually I think the paradigm is the supramind, really. It's really in between the lower triangle and the upper triangle. Is really happiness is the lower state of bliss, which is the bridge between the material world and the spiritual world. And this is what I did. In this case, coming to life with a new creation, which is a Merapet. Is an animal that is born by the combination of 4 powers, and is called Felicia. So this is my creation. It's really the combination of the past and the future in the present. Thank you.
So this is my drawing, and generally I'm associated with red. Red is missing here. I just saw something else emerging, and blue calling. I'm not very well, so I just played with it, but I really wanted to be part of the session, so I came and then started painting. When it all was done, I used it crayons, which is not very fine material to do mandalas with such a fine line work, but to taking the risk to use crayon and then use my finger to smudge it to get some effect. And finally I wrote Ma at the outer line of my mandala. So I have a habit of writing Nama journal, which I just write Ma, and it can go into thousands and thousands times. So that has come in with a prayer that my mind does not understand it right now, and I hold a prayer that it will reveal what it holds.
Okay, so my name is Iris, and this is my mandala. Well, it's not complete yet, but my table mates asked me to present it. So in the middle is well, for me it's the Star of David. It's a place where I live in Israel, and it represents me. And in the middle is the Shakti. And my word for this year is manifestation, is bringing to the world all the things that I've studied that are really different, and putting them in order so I could understand them better and other people could nourish from them and flower and get to the green part of their life and be better people and be better leaders. So thank you.
This is my painting, and I somehow, I don't know, I feel it's me. I'm part of Shakti Kumbh. I didn't plan, but I'm here, and Uma knows it. So sometimes I feel it's mother who called me here. Like very strongly I'm feeling right now this, and this is why I made this. So all the color that I made in a circle, I represented as a rays, a light of all the Shaktis. And it's starting from the center. So all the color, yellow, blue, orange, pink. And here in the center, I highlighted flower form, which I think I have come up as a beautiful flower with all the, blessings of mother's power in orange color, green color, and pink color. And I feel she is just blessing me, and I'm feeling really, blessed, and a deep gratitude to Mother. Thank you.
So when you ask the question, what is new creation for me? I just wrote what came, so I'm just going to read what came. Born in the now, free from the impressions of the past or future. A harmonious vibration stringing human hearts and aspiration for the highest good and best of all. Compassionate love and goodwill flows. The divine will and a higher wisdom guides action. There is a collaboration for the benefit of all. And then when she gave this, this is what came in. So I honestly don't have any meaning. I don't have any interpretation, because when I sit to create, I'm an empty slate, and whatever flows through me is what kind of pours out. So color spoke, what needs to be filled in where spoke, and that's how it's coming. So I really don't have an interpretation. The only thing was, I think in this, there was a very conscious choice, not a conscious choice, that I felt there was a difference, a different kind of a vibration that felt like flowy, and maybe because on the outer line. So I don't know. But when I saw the drawing first, it felt like the lotus was blooming in my heart, fully bloomed. That was the word came, that was the impression that came in. And I just stayed with it. I stayed with the prayer of the new creation, the energy of that, and just let flow. So, thank you.
Thank you.
When I connected with the vision, I saw a lot of soft pink light kind of all over the world. The soft pink light of our psychic kind of opening to hold more love. And so I just connected with that light behind my own heart, and the soft pinkness, pink and white light was kind of glowing, and I just was painting that. And the vision of a new creation that was coming is that many of us are gathering in circles, setting the aspiration to know love. So we're calling out that aspiration from below, saying, please help us to know love, because I think the mother had said, or Sri Aurobindo had said, that divine love is the most difficult one to anchor onto this frequency. And so more of us kind of gathering just to know love and really calling out to love and opening ourselves to that grace to receive that light from above. Yeah, thank you so much. I really felt softened by just the act of painting this. Thank you.
So this is my painting. So the words which came up were peace and freedom. And I'm convinced, of course, peace and freedom can only happen when it comes from inside out. So that this blue in the middle represents freedom and peace for me. And then grounding with the green color, and mother love, love, fun, happiness. And then it can show up on the outside that we have peace and freedom. So, and you know, this means that then we can shine and bring peace and freedom to others. So that's my topic.
So the first question for me this morning with the symbols has filled me with so much love for Sri Aurobindo, Mother Aurobindo. So that was kind of what was filling me. So when I got this in front of me, it kind of automatically became a mother symbol with the colors. It was, that's what I had to do simply. It was just coming like that. And of course, all the colors are very symbolic now. And so the star has Sri Aurobindo's light blue color, light of Sri Aurobindo. And in the center is Auroville's symbol, though that might not be so visible, no? Which represents really the city. And the blue line around, that is peace, the color of peace. And then I felt I had to put it on a lotus leaf. And I was doing the pink and I felt, no, but I want it white also. So it's half white and half pink, Mother and Sri Aurobindo's flowers, no? Of course, the supramental light, which is raining down on us all the time, as it is now. And then as I was kind of finishing it off, I really felt that this whole lotus leaf was a fractal. That somewhere in here, there is another lotus leaf and a outside. So it's just how this, when all this comes in place, all those, when these powers are working, these qualities, the fractals will come. Now we feel like we have to do a thing and then we have to repeat it and repeat it. But once we get all this right in this new creation, these fractals are moving everywhere. So then this also, the whole thing becomes a fractal, no? Inside out, whichever direction you go, that's what's happening. Fill me with a lot of love. So now let's look at your beauty.
So the reason we came up together is because Vivechna told us that everybody has got a different drawing. And then we realized that both of us have the same one. Show yours also.
There are 6 versions actually.
Yeah, but we were the lucky ones to be on the same table. So then for me it was, of course I did not look at her drawing. Only after we completed it, I wanted to see what it is, and we realized that it is the same drawing. So first the writing exercise, when the question was asked, what is a new creation for you? Or what does it mean? For me it was surrender. And the moment we say surrender, the rose came into my mind suddenly. And in spite of being a doctor and an illegible handwriting, I still could draw a rose. And what is rose is love. And what is for my part in that new creation? A heart which is opening up, the psychic love, share, express, collaborate, and divine, that is the divine will. And a sentence came in which was, in love we are born, in love we grow, and in love we merge. So that is the writing exercise which we did. And naturally when I got this, I was very happy that, oh, I got Sri Aurobindo's symbol. And then, so the first thing which I did was that what should I do about it? I said, now I'll put the mother symbol in that, because I couldn't see the mother symbol there. So when I was doing that, then I said, no, it is too small a circle to draw 12 petals. So then maybe I should draw the Auroville symbol. And I was very sure that I'm drawing the Auroville symbol, but somehow I couldn't make 5 parts out of it. It happened to be 4. So I was like, no, I want the Auroville symbol to be there, but it didn't come. So the 4 parts, and then I wanted to, where are the 12 petals? So I wanted to draw the 12 petals. Somehow I did not look at the inner circle. The outer 12 petals I did. And then it was like, it has to be the same color which is there in the center. And slowly, I wanted to see which colors go in. The rose color pink had to come in between because it is radiating from there. And I wanted a green color which was different, but Jaya was not using it and keeping it on her side, and I didn't want to disturb her. So I said I have to express with whatever material I have, and that is how that green comes in, which is here. And then she gives the timeout that no, in 5 minutes you have to complete, and I was, no, I have not completed it, but I don't want to leave it incomplete. So somehow I used a crayon and I completed the painting. So this was a very good journey, that use whatever you have in full bloom, don't disturb others, and live in peace, and your drawing will be beautiful. So thank you so much, Jaya.
Yes, when I had the thing ready and we were waiting, no, then I actually was turning it around, and it's like an eye that simply looks out. So our city here is the eye of the divine, just looking out on the Lord. Yes.
Oh, so we show in different dimensions also.
It's all in different dimensions.
No, you were showing it like this.
Yes.
And I'm showing it like this.
Yes. But I was showing like that before.
Yes. So it has to go higher and wider.
When I saw the picture, I felt very happy because it was a Sri Aurobindo symbol. I didn't. I just start painting it, and all I wanted is to be nice, beautiful, and choose nice color pencils. I felt like a child painting. So this is what I meant. So for this new creation, all I wish for all of us is to enter into it with the eyes of a child. Thank you to all of you.
I was debating, should I share or not? But because this is moving into the supramental anniversary, this is for all of us. So what is the new creation that I aspire for? A synarchic world and humanity each playing its unique role to perfection, creating a grand symphony. And what is my role in it? My role is to be the perfect plastic instrument of the Divine Mother, unattached to any role, ready to dance, move as presence, shape-shift from the grandest to the littlest and anywhere in between that she uses me for. Then what came was, I am a cell in her new body, in perfect unison with her and the all. I am a stem cell of the divine new supramental body. This is what then came through. So this is like a tiny cell in its own interstitial fluid of the supramental waters. And there is a kind of amorphous quality to it, which is that plasticity, not to be set in any particular direction. Like a kaleidoscope, you should be able to keep moving it, and it should be able to keep shifting as needed in any situation. And there's also kind of telescopic quality. It can become as small or as big as needed in each moment. So this is my aspiration. Thank you.
I'm talking because I went through something different. Usually I'm a really good student. And this time I didn't want to. I needed to go outside, take some fresh air. And what I felt in me couldn't be contained in a small paper. So I started to express what was in me. And I got an insight from that. I'm going to start with the insight so you can follow me. The insight, like, there's not going to have peace in this world if any one of us cannot be their unique emanation, that we can accept the way it expressed, and we can create harmony together. There's no way there's peace if one has to fit in a community, that to fit in an idea, that to fit in something. We need to start with accepting and appreciating the essence of each one. So it's something really insightful for me. So this was in me this morning. So it's a fire, it's an art, and it's grounded in the heart, and it's in the sky. So, and I could kind of fit it in a symbol.
The way I see the world was very much actually the way Sudha said it, but she says it much better. I just saw everything as being harmonious, and it's not only human beings. I think we had to take care of nature, every little creature. We have to coexist with them. Just as they give us, we need to take care of them. We need to take care of each other. Wherever there's this disharmony and little kitch going on, it just needs to be handled with love and to listen to each other. I mean, everybody has a point of view. And that, I think, extends from, like, I always remember the little ants when they're walking, they always stop, they talk to each other for 1 millisecond and they go on. I always wonder what they say to each other, It's just a little communication. They just go on their thing. And maybe somewhere the communication stops with us and we reach our little bubbles and we are not connecting anymore. My part in that was that I wanted to, where I live, we call that space Gaia. I wanted that to be the microcosm of the macro, so that if I could create there what I would like to see in the larger world. And that's something that I made here. And after I finished making this, and this is like the swirling universe, and I could see that actually like the earth. It has the whole yantra, the mandala, imprinted on her. That's the center of the earth. And it's the only home we have, And I just felt very protective and very like this about her.